Greetings, history enthusiasts. Welcome to the Annals of History. This is the place where we uncover the hidden layers of our past. Today's exploration takes us to the intriguing topic of the dark side of the Bible. We delve into the shadowy corners of both Old and New Testaments. The Old Testament, a testament of God's wrath and punishment, has numerous instances that reveal its dark side. Let's delve into the depths of these shadowed tales. The Great Flood, a cataclysmic event of biblical proportions, was an expression of divine indignation. Humanity had strayed from the path of righteousness, and in response the skies opened up, pouring forth 40 days and 40 nights of relentless rain. The world as it was known was wiped clean, save for Noah, his family, and a menagerie of creatures aboard the ark. The flood is often seen as dark because of the sheer magnitude of life lost, a stark reminder of the consequences of straying from the divine path. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah further illustrates this wrathful aspect of the divine. These cities, notorious for their wickedness, were obliterated by a rain of fire and brimstone. The only survivors were Lot and his daughters, who managed to escape the devastation. The destruction of these cities is viewed as dark due to the utter annihilation of life and the stark punishment for moral corruption. Finally, we turn to the plagues of Egypt, a series of 10 catastrophes inflicted upon Egypt to convince Pharaoh to release the enslaved Israelites. From rivers turning to blood, to hailstorms, locusts, and ultimately the death of firstborn sons, these plagues were severe and unrelenting. The darkness in these events lies in the harshness of the plagues, the suffering of innocent people, and the ruthless pursuit of divine justice. These events in the Old Testament paint a picture of a wrathful, punishing deity, one who is not afraid to wield power and inflict suffering to uphold divine justice and moral order. They serve as stark reminders of the potential consequences of straying from the path of righteousness. Thus, the Old Testament presents a side of the divine that is wrathful and punishing. The laws and prophecies of the Old Testament also mirror its dark side. Picture this: laws that are so severe they call for punishment by death for seemingly minor offenses. This is what we encounter in the book of Leviticus. For instance, Leviticus chapter 20 verse 10 decrees death by stoning for both parties involved in adultery. While this might seem harsh by today's standards, it's important to remember that these laws were put in place in a different time and cultural context. But it doesn't end there. The Old Testament is also filled with prophecies of violence and destruction, particularly in the books of Isaiah and Jeremiah. Take, for example, Isaiah chapter 13, verse 16. Their infants will be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses will be plundered and their wives violated. Similarly, Jeremiah chapter 19, verse 9 predicts that the people of Jerusalem will resort to cannibalism during a siege. I will make them eat the flesh of their sons and daughters, and they will eat one another's flesh, because their enemies will press the siege so hard against them to destroy them. These prophecies, filled with vivid and disturbing imagery, warn of the severe consequences of straying from the path of righteousness. They serve as a stark reminder of the potential wrath of God and the dire repercussions of disobedience. But why, you might ask, would such harsh laws and violent prophecies be included in a religious text? Some scholars argue that these elements were used as a form of social control, a way to maintain order and obedience among the people. Others suggest that these laws and prophecies need to be understood within the context of the time, a period characterized by violence and conflict. They were, in essence, a reflection of the harsh realities of life in those times. Regardless of the reasons, one thing is certain: these laws and prophecies demonstrate the severity and harshness of the Old Testament. They reveal a side of the scripture that is often overlooked or ignored, a side that is as fascinating as it is unsettling. And it is this dark side that we will continue to explore in the next part of our journey through the annals of history. Moving on from the Old Testament, we turn to the New Testament. This part of the Bible, known for its teachings of love, compassion, and forgiveness, presents a stark contrast to the wrath and retributive justice of the Old Testament. Yet it's essential not to overlook the New Testament's nuanced tone, a blend of hope and warning. It carries profound messages, often veiled in parables and metaphors, that reveal a different kind of darkness. Despite its reputation for love and forgiveness, the New Testament has its own dark corners. The New Testament is not all love and light. It too has its dark parables and revelations. Let's delve into some of these narratives that seem to cast a shadow over the otherwise uplifting messages of the New Testament. We begin with the parable of the unmerciful servant, a story told by Jesus himself in the Gospel of Matthew. In this tale, a servant is forgiven a massive debt by his master, only to turn around and harshly demand payment from a fellow servant who owes him a trivial sum. When the master hears of this, he punishes the unmerciful servant for his lack of compassion. This parable is often interpreted as a lesson in forgiveness, but it's also a stark reminder of the consequences of hypocrisy and unkindness. Then we have the ominous revelations of the apocalypse depicted in the book of Revelation. This text is filled with vivid and at times terrifying imagery, monstrous beasts, plagues, and the final judgment of humanity. It's a far cry from the teachings of love and peace that pervade much of the New Testament. Revelations, with its foretelling of the end times, serves as a stark reminder of the potential for divine wrath and the ultimate consequences of straying from the path of righteousness. These narratives, among others, show that the New Testament is not a simple collection of moral teachings and inspirational stories. It's a complex, multifaceted text that doesn't shy away from exploring the darker aspects of human nature and the divine. It presents a world where grace and punishment, mercy and wrath coexist and intertwine in intricate and often challenging ways. So, as we delve deeper into the annals of history and the many layers of these biblical texts, we find that the New Testament, much like the Old, is a rich tapestry of light and dark, of hope and despair, of love and judgment. It's a testament to the complexity of the human condition and the divine, offering us a mirror in which we can see our own strengths and weaknesses, our capacity for both compassion and cruelty. These stories show that even the New Testament is not free from darkness. Moreover, the New Testament presents some philosophies that can be perceived as dark. Let's delve into the murky waters of these philosophies, beginning with the concept of original sin. This doctrine holds that every human being inherits a moral defect, a stain upon their soul from the moment of birth. This inherent sinfulness is said to stem from the disobedience of the first human pair, Adam and Eve, in the Garden of Eden. As a result, we are all born with a propensity towards sin and are, therefore, in need of salvation. The weight of this doctrine is profound. It suggests that we are not born innocent, but rather tainted by a transgression we did not personally commit. It's a philosophy that paints a rather grim picture of humanity, one where we are fundamentally flawed from the outset. Next, let's examine the idea of eternal damnation. This concept is arguably one of the most controversial and fear-inducing aspects of Christian theology. It posits that those who do not accept salvation through Jesus Christ are destined for an eternity of suffering in hell. This is not a temporary punishment, but an everlasting one. The implications of this philosophy are severe. It means that a single mortal life, however short or long, can determine an infinite stretch of either bliss or torment after death. The potential for eternal suffering for finite transgressions can be seen as a dark and deeply troubling aspect of the New Testament's teachings. These philosophies, among others, can make the pages of the New Testament seem a little darker. They present a worldview where humanity is inherently sinful and where eternal punishment awaits the unredeemed. It's a stark contrast to the message of love and forgiveness often associated with the teachings of Jesus Christ. These philosophies add another layer to the darkness of the Bible. So there we have it. The dark side of the Bible, from the wrathful Old Testament to the ominous New Testament. We've traversed through the ages, from the times of wrath where divine fury was commonplace to the eras of dark laws and prophecies which shaped the course of history. We've journeyed through the transition to the New Testament and delved into the dark parables and revelations that it holds. And finally, we've explored the dark philosophies that have emerged from these ancient texts. The Bible, like history itself, is a complex tapestry woven with threads of light and dark, of hope and despair, of love and wrath. It continues to be a source of fascination, inspiration, and sometimes controversy for millions around the globe. Its depth and complexity are a testament to the multifaceted nature of human existence and belief. Thank you for joining us today on the Annals of History. We hope this exploration has given you a new perspective on this revered book and has stirred your curiosity to delve deeper. Stay tuned for more intriguing historical content. Don't forget to subscribe, share, click on the notification bell, leave a like and comment below. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring history.